Hello heathens and welcome to my channel. I am Beauty Heathen and my channel is dedicated to the exploration of paganism. Sometimes I do readings, sometimes I do demonstrations for ritual work or other aspects of paganism, and sometimes, like today, I delve into the educational aspect through the medium of cosmetics. If you are new to my channel, I welcome you and thank you so much for joining us. If you are returning, thank you so much for your continued support. It truly means the world to me. If you feel you would enjoy the subject matter or find my content of interest, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and set the bell to all to be notified of when I release new videos. Remember, it is free to subscribe and your support does help me grow my platform. In today's episode, we will be discussing a subject that was requested quite some time ago by a viewer. The subject of how to use 4 Thieves Vinegar and oil. So before I delve right into everything, for anyone who's new to my channel and may not have seen my content before, I go into the historical aspects of why I combined cosmetics and paganism in many videos. So I'm just going to go into I prepped the head with hairspray per the instructions to protect the head from becoming stained from the cosmetics. I applied a primer of Wander Beauty Glow Ahead Illuminating Face Oil. I got this in a BoxyCharm from when I used to subscribe to it. Then the foundation is a combination of 2 colors of LA Girl Pro Coverage HD foundation. The 2 colors are Toast and Bronze. Bronze is very orangey if you are somebody who is looking for foundations. I'm not a review channel. Definitely don't come here looking for reviews on products. I will be using a couple new palettes today from ColourPop that I got from Ulta. All Things Equinox, and she's got Solstice, since they are appropriately themed for my channel. And unfortunately, when I went to go reorder this foundation, they did not have this color. So this one is almost done. I'm trying to milk the last bit of it and try to get every last drop out of this, because it's like the perfect color for this head. So I mixed it with a little bit of bronze. Anyway, I then put on a combination of Ciate London and Makeup Revolution setting powders, only because the Ciate London is white. And I did spray the head with Gerard Cosmetics setting spray so that the head isn't quite so matte after the powder. The eyes are the NYX eyeshadow base in the color white. And yeah, as always, don't look for reviews when you come here. That's not what my channel is about. Keep in mind that how the cosmetics react to the head is not how they react on human skin. These heads do not have pores. They do not have texture. They don't have anything to help grip onto the cosmetics when I apply them, so that you will see things like a lot of fallout. Sometimes there are off days when the eyeshadow base comes off the head. None of that is a reflection of the actual products themselves. They are simply a reflection of some days these heads just don't want to frickin' cooperate. So I always put that disclaimer in because I never want you to watch these and watch when I use products and think, oh, well, it's not really working well, so let me not buy that. it has nothing to do with the products. It largely has to do with the heads. They can be a bit finicky and painful to work with at times. But anyway, before I get right into it, I wanted to see, I did this thing where I organized my room a bit more. Oh, there it is. You know what? I could try something new. Oops. And in the organization process, I moved things and I don't know where I put them yet. But I do have other products that I can use and try to work my way through, especially the ones that I got from BoxyCharm that I don't care for the brands. I'll do things like I'll use samples, I'll use all these random things on the heads, so yeah. I'm going to try using NARS Orgasm for the blush. Then I'll use the Too Faced highlighter. And then I'll focus on the eyes after that and do the lips finally. As the last step, I should say. So, on to the content. In medieval times, 4 thieves were said to rob the homes of those who suffer from illness and those who had died from the 17th century plague, the Black Death. I may not be getting any blush off this. If that's the case, I'll revert back to my other one. Is there anything on there? No, ma'am. Yeah, nothing's coming off it. Alright. Sometimes you never know what you're gonna get. So, back to the handy dandy trusty Ulta Box blushes. I'll still try the Too Faced highlighter just to see how it works. And I think today I will do the matte nude pink blush. Sorry about that. Had to change things up for a moment. Like I said, never guaranteed the heads are gonna work. So, during the Black Death, it is said that on moonless nights in Marseille, France, and forgive me if I completely butchered that name, Marseille, could be Marseille, the thieves would anoint their bodies in vinegar that had been infused with protective herbs now known to have antibacterial and antiviral properties. This herbal vinegar was thought to give the thieves an advantage against contracting the illness. Fleas were thought to be one especially sneaky carrier of the plague. In addition to its antimicrobial potential, the thieves' aromatic cloak. I'm trying to get a good perspective on this. I literally can't see any blush on this head. My lighting in here sucks today. Let me try moving it a bit closer. See if... Okay, now I can see a little bit better. There's the blush. Yay! Sometimes that's all it takes. But, the aromatic cloak may have also acted as a natural flea repellent. So, okay. Blush is on. So, today is one of those days where I swear to the gods I would lose my head if it was not attached to my body. Every time I put something down, it's like, what did I do with it? Okay. Let me try the highlighter. So at first, the four thieves' behavior wasn't of much consequence, as folks assumed the plague would eventually take hold of them. However, the thieves' resistance was strong, and their thievery continued. It's a decent highlighter. It's not, like, super blinding. I know I'm not using the right brush for it, but, you know, I kind of want it to be a little bit diffused. Sometimes when I apply highlighter, it gets a little bit harsh and you can see a big line. When the thieves were finally apprehended, judges offered a less agonizing form of punishment than execution if they would be helpful by sharing their immunity secret. I have to say, the highlighter's not bad. Pleasantly surprised. Which kind of sucks because I know I won't buy it again. But anyway, before I continue, let's see. Maybe I'll do a combination of the two. These two palettes are absolutely stunning. If you haven't seen them yet, if purple is your color, the All Things Equinox 9-pan palette is gonna be your jam. It's got a little bit of taupe. It has some shimmers. It doesn't have any of the chunky glitters that I can see. We'll find out the texture of things once I start applying them. Besides these two palettes from ColourPop, I also have their So Jaded palette. So I'm used to the different textures they have available, so we'll see if any of them are similar to one another. So let me get a fluffy brush to apply a base, and we will figure out what that is. Let's see. An alternative to the tale that I was mentioning is that the four thieves had been caught for their acts of robbery and were sentenced to bury the dead after the plague hit. In order to try to stave off catching the disease, they created this potent herbal vinegar in which they rubbed behind the ears, on their temples, and on their hands. Of course, after hundreds of years, many versions of this story exist, as do variations of the recipe. The original included several herbs and roots steeped for days in white wine vinegar. And I'll try from the Solstice, the color Nova as a base. Scientists believe the concoction worked against the plague because it repelled insects, including the fleas which spread the disease. French chemist and scholar René Maurice Gadafosse, forgive me if I butchered that name, published the original recipe that hung in the Museum of Old Marseille, France, in his 1937 book, Gadafosse's Aromatherapy. Okay, so it says take 3 pints of strong white wine vinegar and a handful of each of wormwood, meadowsweet, wild marjoram, and sage, 50 cloves, 2 ounces of campanella roots, 2 ounces of angelica, rosemary, and horehound, and 3 large measures of camphor. Man, this thing would have been, whoo! If you have never smelled camphor, it is stronger than any mentholated product you probably have ever smelled in your life. Just reading off this recipe, I'm like, damn. Wouldn't have surprised me if they had been apprehended. I'm sure they would have been able to smell them from 5 miles away. It's not an unpleasant smell, but it is something that is extremely strong. So, after combining all of these herbs and everything all together, the mixture would be put in a container for 15 days, strained and expressed, and then bottled. You would then use it by rubbing it on the hands, ears, and temples from time to time when approaching a plague victim. Now, if I recall correctly, the bubonic plague was caused by bacteria and not a virus. But if I'm incorrect about that, I'll put a little note there. But yeah, I have to say the color is laying down very evenly, and it's allowing me to blend out around the edges quite nicely. So far I am not displeased with this product at all. I haven't been disappointed with the So Jaded palette either, and have recommended it highly to anyone wanting to try any of their products or eyeshadow palettes. If you don't have any ColourPop ones, I do highly recommend starting with the So Jaded palette, because it gives you a very wide array of color and shadow texture diversity. And it just really does give you a feel for what ColourPop's shadows are like, regardless of the kind of finish that they give, if that makes sense. So I started there. Let me actually see. If Rox is watching this, I did clean my brushes. Metamorphosis Rox and I were laughing on Twitter the other day because we both completely and totally hate cleaning our brushes, to the extent that I actually bought this set because I was like, I don't want to wash them yet. Just trying to see, where do I want? I'm very sorry about the background noise. I live on a very noisy main street where I live, and people are absolute jerks right now. It drives me crazy, so I do apologize for that. I think I'm going to try this color Moonrise, which is a shimmer. And I think I'll try it on the crease. Again, I'm using a combination of both palettes tonight. Okay, I said that over the years, different variations of the original recipe have been released and in many internet blogs, but we shall look at one of the recipes for preparing the 4 Thieves Vinegar. After I go into the recipes, for the vinegar, I will go into different ways that they can be used. Keep in mind when it comes to using any of these vinegars internally, make sure that any herbs that you use can be ingested. Like some of the products that I mentioned in the original recipe, I would not at all recommend ingesting, like the camphor, wormwood, angelica. Those are all herbs that are very specialized, and if you're not careful with the herbs that you're ingesting, you can get really sick. So it's one of those things where I never recommend just diving into a prescribed recipe on how to make something and think it's automatically okay to ingest it. Most of the time, it is not. So, putting that out there right now. I'm going to take the color Estrella, which is also a shimmer, and kind of, maybe not so much smoke it out, but put it over the purpley color. Oh my god, that's beautiful. Sorry. Never disappointed with ColourPop. So, yeah. Keep in mind this concoction does include herb spices and garlic. This recipe contains herbs that have generally antibacterial, potentially antiviral, but keep in mind that none of these are a substitution for actual medicine, especially if you are sick. Always, please, see a doctor. But one of the positive ways you can use it is also as an antifungal. As a matter of fact, some people use 4 Thieves Vinegar to treat things like nail fungus. And that is something that I wouldn't have a problem saying, yeah, go ahead and try it. Because it's external use and it is something that has been touted for quite some time as a beneficial remedy. But I'll get into that more in a moment. So, the herbs used in 4 Thieves recipes can be a combination of many different things. But keep in mind that modern versions of the recipe generally include 4 herbs, 1 for each thief, and garlic. Which is a strong antiviral and antibacterial itself, infused in apple cider vinegar. Some herbalists recommend the 4 Thieves tonic as a preventative to ward off any communicable sickness like the common cold and influenza. Again, not saying this will work for the present day pandemic that is currently going on. Do I think it will necessarily hurt to try it? Not really, unless you're allergic or in some way having an issue with any of these herbs, then obviously don't try it. But when it comes to self-medicating and all of that kind of stuff, I don't recommend it, and I don't feel comfortable encouraging people to try it. I'm going to use a bit of So Serious. Yes, I am. And try it on the inner portion of the lid. So, the general uses of how they use this oil tend to make sense when you look at the health promoting properties of the individual herbs that you'll find in most of today's recipes. And if you are someone who may be interested in delving into kitchen witchcraft, you can expand your ritual-like abilities to include and incorporate intentioned cooking for your family and for yourself. Like if you want to attract good health or anything of that nature, look up culinary herbs that you may want to include in recipes that you already cook and see if any of them might be beneficial to add to the recipe. That is something that I do often. So, the first, it's not so much an herb, maybe spice, root, is garlic. Sorry, I have a bit of fallout again. Not necessarily a reflection of the actual shadows. Garlic not only smells wonderful in cooking, but it promotes health as well. In addition to its positive effect on cardiovascular disease by lowering cholesterol and blood pressure, garlic has been used for centuries to fight infectious diseases. Scientists now know that its principal compound, allicin, has strong antibacterial and potentially antiviral properties. I'm going to keep adding potentially in front of that because I am not going to be held responsible for people thinking that this is me saying this is a cure-all. It's not. It's one of those things that it might help. Okay. I'm going to use the other side of the brush and dip it into Kindred, this upper color. I'm going to kind of combine them together and put that more towards the outside. I'm going to try to mix them together a bit. Sorry, all up. Now the next spice or herb that is used is rosemary. Now, if you are new to my channel, rosemary is one of those herbs that I use in any kind of working that I do because it is multi-purpose. It tends to be one that you always have in the pantry or on the spice rack somewhere for some sort of recipes. and it's overall extremely beneficial, not only health-wise, but magically. Trying to do a form of, but not really, a cut crease. That's why I'm lightening that a bit. Probably won't be entirely successful with that, but that's okay. I take some of this and put it on the bridge, if it lets me and doesn't peel away the under layers. Rosemary officinalis is one of the most popular culinary herbs around the world, and it's been widely studied for therapeutic use. A few of the validated medicinal uses of rosemary include antibacterial, potentially anti-cancer, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory purposes. Just going to take some of this alone on a brush and kind of work it on the brow bone. The next spice is clove. For centuries, people have used clove as a food preservative because of its antioxidant and antimicrobial properties. Studies have shown clove oil is effective against staph, E. coli, and Pseudomonas, which is just another form of bacteria. Then we are on to sage, which is green sage, before anybody comes for me. Sage officinalis has a wide range of traditional uses, such as to relieve digestive disturbances, so it's particularly helpful if you have an upset stomach, bronchitis, and cough and sore throat due to inflammation. The flavonoids and compounds in sage have strong antioxidant and antimicrobial properties. Next, we're on to juniper berry, which is another one that they tend to use for preserving meats and such. Studies have shown that juniper possesses anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and antibacterial properties, among others. It's also a very good spell-working herb. Okay, I've done that. Now I want to try something a little different on the actual lid. Done that color, done that color. I'm going to try maybe a little bit of Mars, then go in with maybe these two. Mars I'll put on the inner corner a bit, just a touch of green. See if it works. Yep, okay, there we go. The next herb is thyme. Now, if you are somebody who does smoke cleansing at all, if you know anything about smudging, you know about white sage. You may not have known about sweetgrass. White sage is to clear the air, sweetgrass is to draw in positive. Well, much the way that those two work together, thyme and marjoram work together in the exact same way. So, something to think about. But in regards to for Thieves Vinegar, thanks to the phenols thymol and carvacrol, thyme has the highest levels of antioxidants of any herb. Thymol is a proven antimicrobial and antibacterial, which is effective against staph and E. coli and salmonella infections. Interesting. Next, last but not least, we have cinnamon. Not just for cookies. Cinnamon possesses antimicrobial, antifungal, antioxidant, and anti-inflammatory properties. Now in spell work, cinnamon is really good for making something work a little bit faster. Another way that it's used medicinally is if you have blood sugar issues. However, I will put an addendum on that. If you are someone with low blood pressure, a potential side effect of using cinnamon medicinally for high blood sugar is it can lower your blood pressure. So if you have low blood pressure and high blood sugar, I don't recommend using cinnamon medicinally for that purpose. Just putting that out there as a little addendum. And a little bit of intergalactic on the outer corner. I'm going to try to work them all together. Blend, rather. So now, how to prepare the Four Thieves Vinegar. In our version of the recipe, we used more herbs as we had them in stock, but for tradition's sake, you could just use the 4. So keep in mind, you can always add more or even change up the herbs to suit. Just look up the properties and even look up the magical uses if this is something that you're planning to use more magically rather than medicinally, which I would generally recommend anyway. So in this recipe, they used 500 milliliters of apple cider vinegar or white wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of thyme leaves, 2 tablespoons of rosemary leaves, 2 tablespoons of sage, 2 tablespoons of lavender flowers, 2 tablespoons of mint leaves, and anywhere between 4 to 8 cloves of garlic. Other optional things that they added to it were a cinnamon stick, 8 cloves, and a bay leaf, which is also a really good herb for magic working. I have to say that didn't turn out that bad. I'm trying to work on improving my artistry. Trying to see if there's any color I haven't really used. That one, but that one's going to have to go on with a finger. I can tell that this is a pressed glitter. This super star dust. It looks like it. Maybe it's not. Oh, I stand corrected. That looks like one of their super shock. That was really soft. Okay. I will try something a little different. So for this, you want to make sure you're using a container that's well washed out, dried, clean. you want to put all the dried herbs and garlic into a large jar. Add the vinegar into the jar and seal it tightly. You want to leave it in a cool, dark place for 6 to 8 weeks. You can shake the mixture daily if possible. After the last week, you want to sieve the herbs and then store the tonic. Alright, so if you buy the Solstice palette, this is one of their Super Shock eyeshadows, and I'm gonna forewarn you, it's really soft. Like, I'm trying to pick just a little bit up on the, it came off a little bit chunky. Just trying to see how it works. Nope, don't want you there. Go to the outer edge. Alright, maybe this is, I don't know. I'll have to try this particular one another time, because I'm not seeing it working. I might be wrong, but yeah, I can't really tell. Don't go into the other colors. Let's see how it goes down on the actual palette itself. Okay, so it is laying down like an eyeshadow and not a glitter. It can just be hard to tell probably with all the other colors I put down. Just trying to bump up that glittery brown I put on the outside. Blend it in a little bit. So yeah, I tried to give each of the colors a little bit of time, except for the mattes, because if I did all of them it would look a little bit crazy. And let me find a lipstick and brush. Technically this is a brow liner, but we are gonna make it work. Trying to find a color. Don't really want to do gray. Nah. Although, maybe. Yeah, we'll go with the grape soda from Gerard Cosmetics. If you haven't tried their bullet lipsticks, I highly recommend them. This is not sponsored by Gerard Cosmetics in any way, make, shape, or form. I have a very tiny channel, not on Jen Gerard's radar by any means. But yeah, I do really like Gerard Cosmetics products. Just putting that out there. So, with regards to magical uses of Thieves herbal vinegar, it can be generally used with a few different intentions, one of which being to repel an unwanted person. See the irony there for thieves? You can also use it in times of crisis, in banishing spells and rituals, to cleanse negativity, in spells and rituals for protection, or even in healing spells and rituals. Now, if you're going to use this to put on a candle, I actually recommend that instead of doing the vinegar, you make it into an oil, which I'll get to in a minute. The Thieves Vinegar is thought to have healing effects when taken. If you are sick, You can take several teaspoons of the mixture. I will forewarn you, it likely won't be entirely 100% palatable. You might even want to do the few teaspoons in a glass of water or something to make it maybe a little bit less potent, but especially as something that's been sitting around and made into a tincture, it should be fine. Especially with the vinegar, it should help it keep from going rancid or having any sort of microscopic microbial issues. Like I said, you can dissolve it in water, juice, tea, etc. before drinking it. For external use, you can add a little of the vinegar to your bath water. It might help you to recover from an illness and also help protect you from any fungal or bacterial aspects that might be on your skin even. They said bacterial or fungal attack, but just reading that off, I got a funny mental image. You can spray it as a disinfectant for your home. It also works effectively as an insect repellent. Just trying to make sure I get actual pigment. The head is being a little difficult with the lipstick tonight. This is not the lipstick. I know I've used this lipstick many times on my channel without issue. It's just showing up on the lips a little bit today, a little streaky. Might be the brush even, because I know I'm not using a proper brush. Now, keep in mind you can also add herbs like sage, lavender, rue, mint, wormwood, and many other herbs. Just like I said, be very careful about ingesting anything that isn't necessarily a culinary herb, because herbs, just like prescriptions that you get from a doctor or from a pharmacy, can all come with their own set of side effects. And I don't recommend self-treating yourself with any sort of herbs or anything. I do highly recommend getting and seeking medical advice from a naturopathic physician if that is the route you want to go. Sorry. I've been up here for a while and my battery on my laptop is starting to die. But I'm almost done. Oh, this is a long video too. Sorry, I got talking a long time. Now with regards to For Thieves oil, basically you want to do the same thing. You might want to use an oil such as olive oil. And of course now we have sirens, yay me. So For Thieves oil, again, aromatic herbs. They generally do cloves, lemon, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. Some recipes even include peppercorns, garlic, and chilies. And many of these ingredients have antimicrobial and infection-fighting properties, which also contributes to the lore as a warding potion. For using For Thieves oil, you can do a quick protection spell, draw a pentagram on your body with Four Thieves oil, mix it into floor washes and baths. Place invisible sigils with the oil over windowsills and door jambs. Anointing your doorknob with the oil is said to foil burglars and swindlers. So yeah, I hope this was helpful at least. And if it comes to doing spell work, like I mentioned for the Four Thieves Vinegar, I would use the oil instead to anoint the candle, just because flame and water-based products don't generally go very well together, but doing an oil instead seems to help the candle burn more efficiently. This is the look for today. Sorry, the foundation is getting a little bit patchy here and there. I think this foundation does not work well with the hairspray that I bought for the heads, but after I'm done with this particular brand of hairspray, I will return to the one I was using way early in my channel, and that seemed to not have these effects. So anyway, I hope this video has imparted some knowledge on Four Thieves Vinegar and Four Thieves oil to some degree, and perhaps given you a little bit better insight as to how to make it, how to prepare it, how to use it, ways that it can be beneficial, and ways that it may help you in your daily life. If you enjoy this video and wish to have more like it, please be sure to let me know in the comments below, and don't be shy, I promise I won't bite. Before you go, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you can stay tuned for new videos. And with all of that said, until next time, I wish you the brightest of blessings, and most of all, blessed be.